The man history cannot ignore. Episode 5. The man who defended women 1400 years before feminism. Before we begin, let me tell you about the world that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was born into in Arabia. Baby girls were buried alive, not hidden, not abandoned, buried alive. Women had no inheritance right, no right to refuse marriage, no right to own property. They were treated like objects, like property. This was the world in 570 CE. Not just Arabia, the entire world. Then came Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and everything changed. He stood up in a world that despised women and declared, "The best among you are those who are best to their wives." This was not poetry. This was not politics. This was not revolution. 1400 years ago, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gave women the right to own property, the right to inherit, the right to divorce, the right to choose their husband, the right to keep their name after marriage, the right to education, the right to say no. European women would not receive most of these rights until in 19th and 20th centuries, 1400 years later. But he did not just make laws. He lived what he taught. His wife Khadija radiyallahu ta'ala anha was a successful businesswoman. She was his employer before she was his wife. She worked for her. He worked for her. He respected her. And when prophethood came, she was the first person he ran to, not for power, not for strategy, for comfort, for trust. A man who runs to his wife and his most vulnerable moment is not a man who offers women. His wife Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha became one of the greatest scholars of Islam. Over 2,000 hadiths were narrated through her. Companion of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, great man, would come to her to learn their religion. The Prophet himself said, "Take half of your religion from this woman," pointing to Aisha radiyallahu anha. A prophet who tells men to learn from a woman in 7th century is 1400 years ahead of this time. Now, think carefully. If this man wanted to oppress women, why would he give them rights that the rest of the world would take 14 centuries to discover? If he was making up a religion for his own benefit, why would he make rules that protected women and sometimes restricted men? This does not come from a selfish man. This does not come from a man who invented a religion for power. This comes from divine guidance. Anne Besant, a British scholar and women's rights activist, not a Muslim, she said that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave women more dignity and rights that they had ever received in any civilization before him. A woman's right activist praising a 7th century prophet for his treatment of women. Let them sing it. They told you he oppressed women, but history tells you he liberated them. In a world that buried daughters alive, he said, "Whoever raises 2 daughters with kindness, and he and I will enter paradise together." And he held these 2 fingers together to show how close. This is not oppression. This is mercy. This is justice. This is prophethood.